March the 19th. It doesn't feel like March the 19th.
Spring is around the corner.
I don't think so. I think the groundhog lied to us. It's cold, rainy, nasty.
You can't trust the groundhog.
Who can you trust?
Who can you trust?
John Barrasso. He's with us now.
Yeah.
Republican Senator from Wyoming, Senator John Barrasso. And Senator, it is so good that you are with us here instead of having to watch us while you're sweating in the Senate gym, where you watch us every morning.
Well, we were watching a little earlier this morning, and I agree with what Harold Ford Jr. just said about we ought to approve the Keystone XL pipeline. We ought to export the liquefied natural gas. That's my bill in the Senate, so I'm with him all the way.
There you go.
Good.
Harold Ford Jr., conservative Democrat.
Almost a senator.
Mark Halpern's here. Mark.
Senator, you're hearing from Paul Ryan today to talk about his budget. That thing's not going to be signed into law. So what is the John Barrasso conception currently of a grand bargain? What would you insist on? What would you be willing to accept that you know the other side wants?
Well, I think it's important to find 75 years of security for the American people in terms of Medicare and in terms of Social Security, so people can stop worrying about that, not just for the people currently on those programs, but really for the next generations to come. I worry about this incredible debt, not in terms of just balancing the budget for getting the numbers right, but what that means for American families. Families know that you have to live within your means. It means better things for the family. And because we continue to spend more and more than we take in each year, we got to stop spending money we don't have. So that would be part of it as well. Ultimately, getting to a balanced budget. The Democrat budget never balances.
So Senator Corker, for instance, your colleague, is willing to, if he can get all those things that you want and he wants, accept additional revenue of some sort. Are you willing to accept additional revenue as part of a deal that gets you the things you just mentioned that's important to you?
Well, as part of overall tax reform, where you eliminate loopholes, you lower the rates, and increased revenue comes out as a result of economic growth. I'm trying to grow the economy. What I see are the Democrats just trying to grow government.
Senator, as you know, we've got a major trade negotiation going on in Asia. We're going to start one now across the Atlantic. Do you think now the president could get bipartisan support in the Senate and beyond for a trade negotiation, for a trade agreement?
I would like to see that done. I was actually in Germany not too long ago with Vice President Biden, meeting with the Germans on this issue of European trade. I think it's important. I think it helps our country significantly, and I would like to work with the president to accomplish that.
So you think he probably would have the requisite bipartisan support, including from his own party, which has always also been an issue?
Well, that's the bigger issue. I think he should have bipartisan support, and I would encourage Democrats to join us who want to have more free trade.
So, Senator, let's talk about how we get to where we get. Obviously, you look at the Democratic bill, you look at the Republican bill, they differ in many areas, but there's been a focus on cutting discretionary spending instead of looking at our long-term problems with Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. Do you think the Republicans in the Senate are going to be willing to look at a long-term overhaul of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and make some tough decisions that have to be made to save those programs?
Yeah, I think we do, Joe. They do this budgeting in just what they call the 10-year window. We need to make sure that these programs are on a sustainable path for the next 75 years. That's the only thing that I think would really give credibility to an overall plan. But Medicare and Social Security, the two tidal waves coming at us in terms of the impact on our budget and our country's future. We have an aging society. 10,000 baby boomers every day are turning 65. When those programs were put into place, people weren't expected to live to 65. Now for women it's 81, for men it's 79. So we need to modernize the programs to save them for the future generations, but to make sure people currently on them have those benefits for the rest of their lives.
Senator, a lot of debates set off yesterday within the party from the RNC's commission recommendations about changes to make. I want to ask you about one of them that impacts a lot of states in your region of the country. The commission is proposing fewer caucuses and conventions in selecting delegates for president and more primaries. Do you think more primaries are better for the party and get rid of caucuses, get rid of convention selection?
Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I do know it's important to be, honest with ourselves as a party and honest with the American people and what we've found. We need to do a better job than we've done in the past to talk about why our policies are good for American families. People want to know what's in it for them. The president won this last election because many more people believe that he was for people like them than they thought that the Republican nominee was for people like them. So I want to continue to do what 30 Republican governors are doing around the country, listening to people in their own states, and then coming up with things that really affect the quality of life of the citizens and work to keep more dollars in the pockets of hardworking Americans.
All right, John, it's always great talking to you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks for being with us today. We will see you soon, Senator John Barrasso.